In this video, I plan to rebalance the unbalanced characters for the Sunflower class in Garden Warfare 2. And here's a treat, I'll do the Cactus class as well. I don't believe that I love the Sunflower class as much as, some of the community does, but I'll give my expertise on the subject. With all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy this part of the Garden Warfare 3 series. Starting with the Sunflower class as a whole, I briefly mentioned in part 3 that all of them will have their health rounded down to the nearest multiple of 25 for consistency. Their critical hitbox will also be moved to work similar to the Sunflower Queen's. For those who don't know, she has a hidden weak spot towards the base of her stalk that only reveals itself when she charges her beam attack. I won't make this one invulnerable unless you're in Sunbeam, just to make it so you take critical damage when you're hit at the base of the stem. For the specific characters I have to talk about, there are Metal Petal, Vampire, Shadow, and Fireflower. Metal Petal will be an exception to the health nerf, with her going up to 175 health instead of 150. This will make it so she'll last even longer when zombies decide to target the healer in the group instead of just the attacker. Vampire Flower will only have 75 health, making her even more frail than usual. In order to make up for the lost health, she'll heal even more for every shot she lands. Shadow Flower, I think, is incredibly lame from a character design standpoint, as she feels like a mildly better version of the base without even trying. So, why don't we rework her to be more unique as a character? Primary-wise, she'll shoot arcing projectiles that deal less damage, and she'll run on an overheat system, being able to fire for up to 4 seconds before overheating. An overheat makes your weapon unavailable for 3 seconds. But that's not all! She'll also be a legendary character that enters her mode upon 5 revives. I'll also change my Ginger Sunflower idea from back in part 4 to fit this idea of support more. In her legendary mode, she'll move faster, gain 25% armor, and revive allies much faster. When she does revive someone, their period of invulnerability will last for much longer, along with providing them a damage and speed buff. Think of the Crystal Dog power-up from Battle for Neighborville, but not nearly as overpowered. The reason I'm doing this is because I heard about how Team Fortress 2's healing system made you feel powerful. So this is my way of implementing a similar system that I read about it without it feeling like a blatant ripoff of their Uber Charge mechanic. This makes Shadow Flower the support Sunflower. If you're upset about the changes I made to Shadow Flower, I'm sure you can play the stock Sunflower and not notice anything. They're, for all intents and purposes, the exact same character. On a similar note, the Fireflower is an incredibly frustrating character, both on paper and in practice. Her concept is incredibly lame, just like the Shadow Flower, with it being just the stock flower but set on fire after going on a date with Fire Pea or something, I don't know. In-game, she's a super annoying character just like the barbecue corn. And don't worry, I'll make a video on him soon enough. Anyways, I'll be giving Fireflower a rework to avoid the problems for both her concepts and gameplay. I wanted to pay homage to some of my very oldest ideas I uncovered, where I chose specific variants from the roster and gave them each new ability sets. I never got very far with it, but if you'd like me to talk about them, let me know. Fireflower I designed to be a reference to the Super Mario Fireflower power-up. Her shots will bounce along the ground, dealing 12 damage at close range and 5 at long range. Her firing rate will be slower to match the game's projectile that they're based on, and you can fire 2 at a rapid rate and the rest will be slower. Her fire damage will go down to 1 at long range, and as an additional Mario mechanic reference, if she manages to jump on top of a zombie, she'll deal an additional 20 damage and bounce off of them. Wow, even when I'm not creating new variants, I still am. Now let's move on to the Cacti. I know I mentioned in part 3 that I'd give all of the Cacti a fully automatic weapon for close range encounters, but the more I think about it, especially when comparing it to a really fun idea I received from someone, the idea soured. The idea I was given was that all of the Cacti should receive a passive ability where if they come in direct contact with a zombie, they would take damage. I think that's a really great way to boost the Cactus's close range capabilities while staying in character. As for the damage itself, I'd imagine something like 25 to 30 damage at most every 3/4 of a second, because that would need to account for the fact that you will also be able to shoot at enemies while this happens. So yeah, I like this more than the Battle for Neighborville automatic weapon, but if you don't think so, let me know. The ones of note here are Future Cactus, Camo Cactus, Jade Cactus, Bandit Cactus, Petrified Cactus, and Petrified Cactus. Hold on. Future Cactus will get a damage nerf, only dealing 99 damage with the damage upgrade on a fully charged shot. I'll keep the projectile speed the same, as having more difficult tracking is what balances her obscene damage output. To compensate, her shots will charge a slight bit faster. Speaking of projectile speed, Camo Cactus will be changed to be properly hit scan, and reduce the reload of her weapon, in order to help her out a little bit more in close range in addition to the spike mechanic. I'll make her projectile a bit more accurate at close range. Jade Cactus is the slowest character in the game, but I don't think that it affects her all that much because she's a sniper who wouldn't be moving much anyways. What she can benefit from, though, is some extra damage, and make it so that way the shots don't immediately detonate when they hit an enemy. Instead, have them stick for a while and then explode so you can line up sneak attacks and get group damage done. On that note, the blast size will be increased if the shots hit entities to make it easier. Bandit Cactus, I want to make her more accurate at long range, but not too accurate, because a soldier that hits 10s and 12s from across the map is a recipe for disaster if buffed any further, especially damage-wise. And finally, Petrified Cactus will deal 10 less damage on both her direct hits and detonated shots. This is because she's actually very, very powerful. And as Wolfie puts it, hits like a train. Sprinting will mitigate her downside of slowness as well, but if it wasn't obvious, her sprinting speed will be lower than non-armored characters by default. And there we have it! 2 classes done at once. You can expect more of these doubles in the future, because as the classes from Garden Warfare 2 have fewer variants, I'll have less to say about them. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you later!